Harvey Adelson, innocent, henpecked husband who had no idea what was going on, or an active player in a very sick family conspiracy? Hi everybody, welcome to Guilty Words, where we unravel crime one word at a time. I'm Chris, your host. Tonight we're taking a look at Harvey Adelson and whether or not he knew about the plot to kill Dan Markel before it happened, or maybe whether he found out after. I initially thought of him as a henpecked husband who just had no idea what his overbearing wife was up to. But actually, I think Harvey was a quieter but equally involved partner. Let me show you why. We're going to look at several pieces of Harvey so we can get a picture of him as a whole. The first thing we want to check out is the emails. Was it Donna sending them? How much involvement did Harvey have in what was said? And we're going to take a look at the money. Was Harvey just oblivious to the money that was floating around and going in and out, or was he aware of it? The bump. When did Harvey find out about it, and what did he do to try and deal with it? Harvey's temper or temperament. There's indications that his wife and kids knew that he had a bad temper and got very emotional. Charlie himself. Charlie, who told his parents everything according to Katie, and according to all kinds of wiretaps and jail phone calls. And the flight to Vietnam, the amount of planning that went into it, including financial. Could Harvey have been so innocent about all of that? Let's begin with the emails. And I'm talking about the famous emails from Donna to Wendy. The first is the May 13th, 2013 email where the subject line is info regarding memorandum of law. Now in this email, Donna writes, "Your father has made numerous trips by plane for weekends and changing the patient's schedules around so that he can continue to spend significant time with the children. Both the disappearance of your mother from the position of office manager and the disappearance of your father from the practice for a significant amount of time has caused a decrease in the practice income." My question here is, why is it just Harvey making numerous trips by plane on weekends and changing the schedule around? It shows a level of involvement I didn't notice before. Donna had been so vocal about, "I want the children in Miami," that these little details escaped me. But Harvey was making trip after trip after trip to see these kids, very involved, and probably just as invested in getting them down to Miami as Donna was. In the same email, Donna says, "Dad said he'd look up any papers tonight or over the weekend that you may need. He even has the info on what Danny had in his IRA and 401k prior to marriage." As I mentioned in my video in these emails, that surprises me no end, why Harvey would have that information. But notice, it isn't Donna looking things up. Whatever papers and information that Wendy needs, Harvey knows where it is, and he knows where to find it. He's very aware of all of the financial pieces. Next was the June 25th, 2013 email with the subject line, "Very important, please read." In this, Donna says, "Dad and I have changed our lives this year to support and assist you and the boys in every possible way." Notice the number of times she says we and us. I've put a few examples up here, but there's a lot more in these emails. Please call us after you read this. We're waiting to talk to you. And she signs this letter, Mom and Dad. The June 27th, 2013 email, "Wendy, please read this. Since neither one of us feels up to talking, let me share with you what we're all feeling as far as your response. We're all," at least includes Harvey and may include Charlie, "and the offer. We're planning on you, Charlie, Dad, and I as going as high as equal parts in $1 million offer." So Dad is right in there with this offer. Donna can't say, "We're going to give $333,000 and your father's not going to know anything about it. He was okay with it. And more of the we. We'll be there to help you. After all we've been through together. Who is it that's getting divorced? Wendy. It should be what Wendy's been through. But this divorce has become a bizarre family battle. Written with hope and love, Mom and Dad. But perhaps what's most interesting is what Wendy herself said about these emails. In each of the trials, Georgia Kappelman brought them up and confirmed who they were from. And even though Wendy could have easily said, my mother wrote these, and Georgia even gave her the opportunity to say that, she insisted that it was a united voice from her parents. Let's take a listen.
And you had said on direct that your parents were not happy with Dan Markel's behavior during the divorce.
No, they didn't think he was treating me well.
And is this just Donna Adelson, your mom, or was it both Donna and Harvey Adelson?
I'm sure both of my parents felt that way.
Did they ever express those feelings to you?
Yes.
Did they call him names?
Yes.
Okay. Did one parent do that more than the other, or it was consistent between the two?
I think it was consistent between the two.
Okay, but these emails were coming from your mother based on the context, is that right? Not your dad?
I imagine they probably represented both of their feelings. They've been married 51 years, so sometimes my mom speaks for my dad.
Can you tell from the content that it's your mom typing rather than your dad?
Yeah, the email's Donna Harvey, my two parents' names, so they've been married over 50 years, so they have a joint email address. So it's from both of them.
Okay.
So this tells us Wendy herself thought of her parents as having a united mind in almost everything. And if they were united in their hatred of Dan, why not be united in their ideas about how to get rid of him? Next was the money. And there's money all over this case. I would love to see a good forensic accountant just chase everything down. First of all, the monitoring of the money. Donna may have been the bookkeeper, but Harvey knew what was going on. There are phone calls where he's talking with Charlie about various rents on their properties. He's talking about investments. Charlie's giving him advice. They're talking about different choices to make with the money. And there's the fact he sold the practice to Charlie, bought it back at one point, whatever shenanigans was going on there. Harvey knew exactly where his money was, how it was being spent, what it was being used for. Then there's that relocation bribe we just looked at, the $333,000. That wasn't happening without Harvey's knowledge. And for Harvey to agree to that means he was just as serious as Donna about getting those kids near him. Supporting Wendy. He knew about Dan's assets from before the marriage. He had all kinds of paperwork about their finances, apparently. And they were helping with Wendy's living expenses. Donna talks about having grocery receipts. They talk about paying for a lawyer. They talk about helping her buy furniture, all kinds of things that he was willing to do to help her through this divorce. Not just Donna, but Harvey too. Elaborate asset protection. There are indications that in 2016, around the time of certain arrests, Harvey and Donna went into asset protection mode and started creating different trusts and accounts to keep their assets safe. And then certainly before Vietnam, they did very elaborate financial planning before they were planning to flee the country. That couldn't be done without Harvey's full involvement. Katie's gifts. First there was the car. Yes, it was an older model car, but it was low mileage. And the title is signed directly from Harvey to Katie. There's no Charlie in between. Paychecks. Donna was writing regular paychecks to Katie from the Adelson Institute accounts. Now, yes, you could argue that that was Donna doing that, and maybe Harvey didn't pay attention to the books that carefully. But I have a feeling Harvey did pay attention to the books that carefully, and he would have known. and of course the hit payment. Katie McBanoa said that Charlie said his parents had just dropped by, and there was the money. The $100,000 that was to pay for the hit, in cash, damp cash. Somehow he had to know $100,000 was going away somewhere. Donna probably wasn't coming up with that kind of cash on her own. Not with Harvey, so aware of the details of their finances. And even though a lot of jokes were made about Donna and laundering money, think of it in this way. If she did physically wash that money, and it seems like somebody did, it had to be a lot of bills. And where did she do it? If she did it at her kitchen sink, or even if she did it in her washing machine, I think Harvey might have noticed his wife like throwing tons of cash in and soaping it up. Where was Harvey while Donna was like trying to hang this stuff out to dry? Somehow, I think he knew that cash was around. The bump. So at Charlie's trial, he tried to claim that it was at the Matsuri restaurant when he first told Harvey about this supposed double extortion. But there are indications that's not true. Let's talk about the bump, which occurred in April of 2016. This was the FBI trying to stir things up a little bit by approaching Donna undercover. Donna calls Charlie, and Charlie asks, "Does Dad know about this?" Donna says, "No, he's at work, fortunately." Charlie doesn't say, "Did you tell Dad everything?" Because if Harvey knows nothing about anything, then there would be a lot of explanation needed on why someone was trying to extort them or double extort them, depending on whether or not you believe Charlie. But there's none of that. Just, does Dad know about this? Presumably, Donna tells him by the 20th, because on April 21st, Charlie and Harvey go to Matsuri, a sushi restaurant, for dinner. The FBI also happens to go to dinner there at the same time with a bag that has a camera in it and some holes in the bag to try and get the visual recording as well as the audio recording. It's not a great audio. The restaurant was extremely loud, and there are indications of that Charlie realized they were being recorded. But before that, there's a fascinating dialogue between them. They're talking about the bump and whether it was a police or somebody else. And Charlie says, "They wouldn't want to talk to Wendy, so you're the next to talk to." Harvey, "I know they wouldn't talk to her. They've already, and then it's impossible to understand. Then he says, "I was surprised they didn't come to me." And Charlie says, one or the other, but the woman is the weaker choice. But why was Harvey surprised that they didn't try and extort him? Harvey knows that he was equally as knowledgeable as Donna, so they could have come to him. The fact he thinks that they could have come to him is fascinating. A few days later, Harvey gets sick. There have been numerous calls back and forth between Charlie and his mom, usually with Charlie trying to reassure his mom everything's okay. But Harvey has reached the point where he isn't sleeping and he couldn't even go into work. He tells Charlie that he has a stomach virus, but Donna admits that he was up till 5:30 in the morning, and then just when it came time to get up for work, he just said, "I can't do it." Harvey is starting to get ill over this. And if this is innocent blackmail, if you will, and there's nothing to worry about even if it's the police, why is Harvey so upset and nervous? The next day, Charlie has apparently invited Harvey to go out to dinner or somewhere again. And Donna gets on the phone and says, no, he's really not up to it. Charlie's concerned that there's been another contact from the extortioner. Donna says, no, your father's just not up to it. And there's this tense implication that Harvey is not doing well. And then May 5th, Harvey, Charlie, and Donna have a very secretive, intense conversation by the corner of the pool where they live. The FBI is there, but they can't get a recording of it. There was a phone call earlier that indicated they might be talking about the bump and what to do. but there's some sort of intense meeting, and Harvey's right in the middle of it. Let's talk just very briefly about the flight to Vietnam. All of the financial planning that went on ahead of time, based on the wiretaps and the hot mic after the jail phone call, Harvey was fully involved in. Harvey had a one-way ticket as well. He was going to Vietnam with Donna. He wasn't staying behind. He wasn't saying, this is all on you, I'm staying behind with my grandkids. The fact that he was willing to flee with her and help arrange everything to flee with her speaks volumes about what he knew about what happened. He knew there was a reason to flee, and it wasn't just because police in Tallahassee were going to come hunt down anybody named Adelson. There are indications throughout various wiretaps and jail phone calls that Harvey is actually a very emotional man and sometimes short-tempered. I want to play 2 short snippets for you to give you an idea of it.
See, because I don't want, I don't want your father upset. So
Don't say anything to Dad until I take a look at it, because Dad flies off the handle on everything.
That's why I suggested after he goes to work tomorrow.
And you always, you guys are notorious for always getting worked up over everything throughout, as long as I've known you. It's always been, everything's a big deal. Got to get worked up about everything. Everything is a huge deal. And I'm just saying, so this is no different, but I'm just telling you, stop.
Let's talk briefly about Charlie as well. Katie McManus said that Charlie told his parents everything. And listening to the wiretap calls and the jail calls, it's easy to believe her. Charlie discussed myriads of things with his parents, and he called them every single day, which seems like a lot for a grown man, but he discussed and boasted about getting out of a speeding ticket with the advice his father had given him about pretending to be a doctor. He talked about finances, he talked about girlfriends, he talked about buying a go-kart, he talked about how smart he was all the time, he talked about his work, he talked about everything. If he was the mastermind behind some big plot to save Wendy, he would tell him that too. And by the time the wiretaps came around, there were indications they were already being a little bit cautious in what they were saying with all the ridiculous codes. But Charlie wouldn't have kept what he was doing from Donna. And Donna was joined at the hip with Harvey. They were one, as Wendy pointed out. So what conclusions can we draw about Harvey in this whole Rubik's Cube of conspiracy? I think he was fully involved. The money itself is probably the biggest piece to me. The fact that he was as angry as Donna and willing to put up with trying to bribe Dan Markel an enormous amount of money to get his grandchildren down to Miami. Or the fact that he was around when all this money was literally laundered to help pay for the hit. He was willing to rearrange finances both in 2016 and after Charlie's conviction as they were getting ready to go to Vietnam. And he was getting ready to go to Vietnam himself. I heard some online rumors that there may have even been a suicide pact with Donna that he was involved in, but I can't confirm that. Harvey was not a meek and mild man sitting in a corner doing crossword puzzles while all of this was going on. He was fully invested in his family, he was fully invested in his finances, and I think he was fully aware of what everybody was up to. Is there enough evidence to arrest him? I don't know. Somehow I'm afraid not. But Georgia Kappelman is a very, very clever woman. She might find a way. Let me know in the comments below what you think about Harvey and his involvement, and especially when you think he found out about the murder plot. I think he was involved from the beginning, but do you think maybe they told him afterwards? Let me know. You know I love to hear your comments and thoughts. Thank you for spending your time with me this afternoon. I really appreciate it. And if you've liked the content and want to see more, please subscribe. And as always, until we meet in the next video, please use your words wisely and well. Take care.